Imagine winning one of the biggest tournaments of your season, and instead of hearing the crowd celebrate you, you hear them cheering for you to fail. That is exactly the situation Wyndham Clark has found himself in. And after another huge victory, Clark had a message for the fans, who have made it clear they don't want to see him win. Welcome back to the channel. If you love golf stories, controversies, and the moments happening behind the scores, make sure you subscribe, because this one is getting very interesting. Wyndham Clark entered the BMW Championship with something to prove. He had already experienced intense criticism and hostile treatment from fans earlier this season, particularly during the US Open. But at Bellerive Country Club, Clark wasn't interested in playing the role of the villain. He was interested in winning, and for most of the final round, it looked like he was going to cruise to another victory. Clark started the final round with a massive 5-shot advantage, but then Rory McIlroy started coming, and suddenly, what looked like a comfortable Sunday turned into a serious battle. McIlroy erased much of Clark's advantage and put the pressure directly on him. This was the moment when Clark could have folded. Instead, he did the exact opposite. With the tournament hanging in the balance, Clark produced one of the biggest finishes of his season. 3 consecutive birdies, 16th, 17th, 18th, 3 holes, 3 birdies. And just like that, the BMW Championship belonged to Wyndham Clark. He finished 17 under par, 3 shots ahead of Patrick Cantlay, while McIlroy finished third. But the victory wasn't just about another trophy. It was about how Clark responded when the pressure was at its highest. Because once again, the crowd wasn't exactly giving him the warmest welcome. And that's where the story gets interesting. Clark has become one of the most polarizing players in professional golf. At the US Open, fans openly rooted against him, heckled him, and celebrated his mistakes. That treatment became such a major storyline that Clark eventually addressed it. But instead of allowing the negativity to consume him, Clark has increasingly leaned into the role. And after winning the BMW Championship, his response was essentially, "If you don't like me now, wait until the President's Cup." Because Clark has now secured his place on Team USA for the 2026 President's Cup. Think about that. The player some American fans have been booing is now going to represent the United States. And that creates one of the strangest situations in golf. When Clark walks onto the first tee at Medinah later this year, the crowd will be watching him not as an individual golfer, but as part of Team USA. And Clark knows exactly how complicated that could become. Because you can dislike Wyndham Clark. You can criticize his personality. You can question his decisions. But it's getting harder to question his ability to handle pressure. When Rory McIlroy came charging back at Bellerive, Clark didn't panic. He didn't disappear. He didn't give the tournament away. He finished it. And those 3 straight birdies may have been the loudest possible response to everyone who wanted to see him fail. That's what makes this story bigger than just another PGA Tour victory. Clark isn't simply winning tournaments. He's building a reputation as one of golf's biggest villains, and perhaps one of its most resilient competitors. And now he has another major stage waiting for him: the President's Cup, Team USA, Medinah, and potentially another hostile crowd. The question is no longer whether fans will support Wyndham Clark. The bigger question is, what happens if they don't, and Clark keeps winning anyway? Because if the BMW Championship proved anything, it's that Clark doesn't necessarily need the crowd on his side. He just needs the final score to be. And right now, that's exactly what's happening. If you enjoyed this story, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Because with the President's Cup approaching, Wyndham Clark's next chapter could be even more explosive. And trust me, this story is far from over.